Hey guys, welcome to Gear Tasting. Today we're going to try a little bit something different, That's what we're doing today, something different. Gear Tasting, I'm drinking coffee. We're going to do some questions over coffee that we took live on Facebook. So we tried a new little live thing that Facebook's now allowing us to do with pages. So instead of reading off the questions on Gear Tasting like we normally do each week, this week's episode we're actually going to show you the live footage of us recording that during the Facebook conversation live. So you'll see all those questions come in. I think they were excellent questions. We got a lot of really good interaction there. So I wanted to share that with you guys on YouTube too, so you can kind of check that out and tell us what you think in the comments below. You know, is this a cool medium? Are you guys wanting to see stuff like this? Make sure you check out our Facebook page too, because we are going to start doing those live video feeds as well on Facebook. So let us know. And I want to go ahead and roll those right now so you can check that out, and then I will jump back in afterwards and wrap this gear tasting up. Thanks. Welcome to a live broadcast of Questions Over Coffee for our gear tasting segment. Today I'm drinking Ground Sport Blend and taking questions from all of you guys. So if you've got questions, I'm going to refer to them over here so that I can see them. I'm watching myself live. This is like Inception. It's really weird. All right, what do you think about low budget but generally high quality optics like Primary Arms, Bushnell, and Nikon? I actually haven't had much experience with, I think I have used a long gun scope from Nikon before, and I thought it was pretty good, but I really haven't had, and I used a Bushnell. I have used that too on a long gun. So I think they make great products. It's not primarily what I would pick as a long range optic. Actually, the one that I want to get for the gun I'm eventually going to build a long gun. And when we were at SHOT Show this last year, I'm trying to think of what the company wasn't. Loopold, it was the other big one. Night Force. So there was a Night Force scope that they just came out with that was a pretty good budget-wise scope. I want to say it was around $900 to $1,000, which is pretty rare for a Night Force scope, but it did really well in terms of what they were saying for specs. I haven't actually got hands-on with one yet, but I know it was a mil, so reticle was mil, and the turret adjustment was in mils too, which is what you want to look for. So I would say there's, if you're looking at low budget scopes, just make sure that it's capable of doing what you need it to do. Is the glass pretty good? Is the turret adjustment in mils, and is the reticle in mils too? Because you want to match those. Whether you go MOA or mils, you want to make sure that you have those matched, not MOA on the dial and mil in the reticle, which I've used one of those before, and it's kind of a pain when you're getting calls from your spotter and stuff like that. So, thanks, Matt. Who's your daddy and what does he do? My dad's a graphic designer, and he works for a hospital company doing graphic design. That's what he does. He's still old and kicking. He's one of the original Mad Men, old school graphic designers, and he's still at it. So he will be, he's born in, I'm not good with math today, 47, so that would make him old, 70, right? Something. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the ATF maybe, now allowing the collapsible SIG brace that just screams people are using it as stocks, which opposes the usual mentality of the ATF and not liking freedom? Contrary to popular belief, I don't think the ATF doesn't like freedom. I think that it's a government mandate coming down. I would say I've actually met some ATF guys too, and they seem to be pretty okay guys. I don't agree with the whole tax stamp thing. I think it's a waste of our money and resources. But as far as them not allowing the collapsible SIG brace, I don't know. I mean, now they're allowing it, and I feel like it was just controversy in the beginning of whether they would allow it or not. So I'm glad they are. I don't think that it's a huge deal. Maybe that's honestly their way of kind of skirting the issue and still trying to help our community out, so to speak. those would be my thoughts on it. So I'd like to give a little shout out to my friends at Dallas Vintage Toys. I have a pretty large toy collection in my office here if you've seen some of the gear tasting episodes, and I like going over there and seeing what they have. Did you guys see the Benghazi movie? If yes, is it worth picking up? Actually, we did see it because our ETA trauma kit is actually in the movie. We got contacted by a producer ahead of time before that even came out. It was one of Michael Bay's guys, and he said, "Hey, we've got a movie production coming along. We'd love to use your medical kit." He didn't even say what the movie was. He just said, "Hey, we've got a rooftop scene where they're going to be kind of treating a casualty and an injury. Are you up for sending out some stuff?" I said, "Oh yeah, cool." So luckily we did see it in the movie, and it was kind of neat to kind of check that out, that one of the guys was rocking our ETA trauma kit on his gear. So that was cool. And yes, I did see the movie. Sorry, I kind of got off on a tangent there. I did see the movie, and it is worth it. I would suggest seeing it. I think that Michael Bay did a pretty good job capturing that. I would compare it a little bit to kind of Oliver Stone's rendition of JFK, if you've seen that movie, just because the director kind of throws his perspective into the mix. So there's a correlation in terms of that, but yes, I think it's a great movie, and I would definitely recommend seeing it. Are you a member of the Team Rubicon? The Team Rubicon, yes, I am. I have not done any deployments with them. I stay pretty busy around here, and I've tried to make a couple of them work, but I just can't find the time to go do those. There was one that was fairly close to here recently that got spun up. I can't remember the name of the operation, but I honestly really tried to make it work, and I just couldn't be gone for the week that they were needing somebody. So yes, I'm a member of Team Rubicon. I've gone on there, and I've taken a few of the certifications that they require before you can deploy. So I've gotten myself almost to the status of, I forget, it's not ISO, but it's one of their certifications. But all right, so thanks for the question. All right, BLS technician and firefighter, just a heads up, I'm looking into rescue ropes. Any brands you can recommend? Blue Water would be my go-to brand for ropes. That's what I have. I have Blue Water static lines that we run. I don't own any dynamic ropes other than kind of a small one that I use for kind of like a hauling line. But I would definitely look into Blue Water. I can't recommend them enough. I see them every year at SHOT Show. They share a booth with, oh man, I'm going to forget the name of this company. I have one of their harnesses, Yates. So they share a booth with Yates every year at SHOT Show, and I can't say enough good things about their stuff. So I definitely check that out. Trying to think anything else rope-wise. That's the big brand that's out there. I'm not quite sure if that's the only one that... yeah, that's really the only one I know, sorry. Can you do a gear review of your scuba setup? Also, do you think PADI or SSI is better for beginner? Great question. I would love to do a video of that. I can definitely put that on Gear Tasting. I do have all my scuba stuff up here at the shop now that it's coming up on summertime, and I'm going to start diving again in the warmer weather. I don't own a full-on dry suit yet. I want to do that so I can definitely do some winter diving too. I've got kind of an immersion suit, so it's like a dry suit with seals around the neck and hands and things like that. So it's kind of I guess a semi-dry suit, but you can't really you can't dive with it. So do a review. Yeah, scuba setup, PADI and SSI. Yeah, so PADI is what I have. So you can't really see it, but I got my I Love Me wall behind me, and my master scuba diver little certifications up there. So I've attained the level in PADI of a master scuba diver. I started diving when I was 11 years old. I think that was the junior open water requirement for PADI is 12, and I think I had just turned 12 when I actually finished the class. But we went down to Lake Travis in Austin, and that's when I got my certification back then. So I've kind of been a lifelong PADI. I guess, what would you call that? Somebody that takes their classes. So I would recommend PADI. I don't really have an experience with SSI. I think whenever I was in BUDS and going through the second phase stuff, like the open water we did, so it was scuba, and then we moved on to Drager in second phase. But once you finished out the open water requirement at Buds, you got, I think, an advanced level Nowie. And I never even picked up my card after all that, so I technically have a Nowie advanced cert too, but I had already earned my PADI advanced, so I really wasn't worried about it at the time. But there's kind of two paths you can go with any scuba certification. You can either go the instructor route, or you can go kind of the civilian advanced level. So you get your open water or junior open water, depending on when you do it. Then you do an advanced and usually a rescue course. And then you can progress to specialties, at least within the PADI curriculum. And then you have to have a certain number of hours and things like that before you can apply for a master diver. So hopefully I answered your question on that. Best knife I've owned. I would say I currently carry an Emerson A100, and I would say that's the best knife I've owned, just because of some new stuff I've learned about knives since I first started buying knives. I talk about this sometimes. I think I've talked about it on Gear Tasting, and I know I've brought it up in articles before, but I took a class with Tony Blauer and Jeff Gonzalez. They did kind of a co-class up in New Hampshire, and Jeff went over some defensive knife techniques, and one of those things really brought a couple of things into my perspective. One, even before that, I used to have knives that had serrated edges and things like that, and I've just over time and being familiar with how to sharpen knives now, I don't buy serrated edge knives anymore because they're a pain in the butt to sharpen. I like to have, like a smooth, clean blade. I'll just show you on the A100 I have. So I like blades like this so I can get a nice clean edge on them when I'm sharpening. And I love Emerson's, but the wave feature is just something I don't necessarily care much about anymore. If you're not familiar with Emerson's and the wave, there's like a little tab that comes off and you can catch it on your pocket and basically quickly get the knife out in a deployed status. So the problem with that is that when you actually pull the blade out, you're now, your threat's usually facing you, and now your blade's away from the threat. So that's just something that I've kind of learned through Jeff and the classes that I've taken too. So there's another couple of defensive principles that I learned that kind of have moved me into even directions of how to carry a knife, and I've always carried it like this, so the blade, so the pocket is against this side, so the blade doesn't open up in your pocket. So if you're carrying it like this, such as in this fashion, you don't want the blade to open into your pocket. So make sure your knife clip is faced that way. So any plans for another run of an ITS A100? We do have something new coming up with the Emerson Collab, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Little tip there. The new espionage t-shirt collection is awesome. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it, brother. All right, invoking presidential candidates. Who do you think is going to support and uphold the Second Amendment with the best of their abilities? Not a single issue voter. Everybody sucks 2016. Yeah, I don't think Hillary's going to do that, so yeah, that's what I'll say on that. What tack gear brands do you recommend vest ballistic wear? Mayflower Research and Consulting, I would look to them. I like some LBT stuff as well, and those are the two larger brands. We've done some reviews. Eric did some reviews on some shellback stuff like the Banshee plate carrier. Check that out if you're looking for a more lower cost option. Great answer. Thanks. You're welcome. Did you look into the Polykin 231 military grade duct tape? Actually, I did. I looked at a few links that people posted on Gear Tasting, and there was a government surplus website that somebody had posted to, and I felt like that was probably the most authentic tape that I had seen. However, it's like $20 a roll, and I still have some left, so I haven't ordered it yet. And there's like a minimum of 3 rolls that you had to order, so it was like $75 just for tape, and I was like, I'll wait until I actually need it. So yes, I did look into it though. Do you ever think you will deal internationally with products and services? We actually do have some international dealers. I don't know if you're aware of that. So yes, we are trying to branch out internationally as well, and we've been acquiring a few international dealers. We have a great one, DS Tactical, up in Canada, and we've got another couple over in the UK, and I believe we've got a page on the website that I think it's dealers or something wrong. What's that called? Resellers. Yeah, it's on the website. Thoughts on a personal survival beacon. My thoughts is definitely get one. I'm going to forget the company name. We did a review on one. Oh man, I'm not good with names some days, and this is one of those days. Man, I will come back to that because I might think of it in a second. So, sorry, Rob, I will come back. Thoughts on having a truck gun seems commonplace in some areas, but not sure about safety of leaving in car. I agree with that. You really have to have some way of locking it up in a vehicle. There's nothing wrong with having a trunk gun or a truck gun, whatever you want to call it. But you definitely need to lock it up, not just for safety purposes, but just in case something happens. I mean, obviously that slows down your reaction time considerably if you're, having to unlock something before you get to your firearm. But hopefully you would be buying yourself enough time with something that you were concealed carrying to be able to get to that. So we've talked about that methodology before a little bit on gear tasting. It got brought up in a question a couple weeks back. So mask, I think he means scuba. No, mask is this. So if you've never seen Mask in the 80s, that's what this Dallas Vintage Toys logo is based on. So some of you guys that may be watching grew up in the 80s and watched cartoons a lot. I did. I don't watch much TV anymore, but back then I used to wake up on Saturday morning and watch cartoons, and Mask was one of the shows. So that's why I bought this shirt. I really love Mask and stuff. I don't have any Mask toys in my office right now, but do have some at home. So yes. Mask was a pretty good show. Yes, it was. Recommendations on a budget-friendly concealed carry pistol. Actually, I have the Glock 43, and I would say that is a budget-friendly concealed carry pistol. That's a great pistol too. I want to say that mine was somewhere less than $500, and I think that that's a pretty good price to pay for a firearm anyway. So I would say that would be my answer for that. What's your carry gun? I just mentioned that, Glock 43. I think that the disadvantage is it's still a little bit small even for my hands. I don't feel like I have monster Frankenstein hands or anything, and I can still shoot with it pretty good. I just feel like I wish it was a little bit larger of a frame, but I think the 19 is a little too large, but that's obviously a personal preference. So how many have signed up for muster? We actually just checked today. We only have 5 slots left for muster. So if you're holding out on that, get your registration in. Had that truck. Yes, that was Rhino, by the way, the truck. I knew that. I have that toy too still from my childhood. Any favorite recommended books from someone interested in learning about diving? Let's see. I would actually go to a scuba store and get the Open Water Patty book. That's probably one of the best resources around versus an actual book. So yeah, just an aside to that too. So the Open Water Patty book will have the dive table in it too. That's something you could start learning if you're looking at getting into scuba diving. I would suggest starting to learn that dive table because that's something that really comes in handy. And kind of understanding, I think one of the biggest principles that I had trouble understanding when I first started getting into diving, and granted this was a long time ago, I was 12 years old, but I couldn't understand ATMs. I remember that vividly. So that's atmospheres. I couldn't really get the feet atmospheres. I think every atmosphere you go down is 33 feet, if I remember correctly. Maybe divers can chime in. But I think every atmosphere is 33 feet. So that was a weird concept, I remember. Do you have any precision marksman course you would recommend? Yes. I highly recommend Rifles Only and Jacob and the crew there. I would send anybody looking to learn precision rifle stuff over to Jacob at Rifles Only. He's a phenomenal instructor, one of the best instructors I've ever had for any class I've ever taken. So that's saying a lot. I've been in quite a few classes in the last, 7 years since starting ITS. Is there a course you recommend for getting better at lockpicking? Yes, there's a course called Practice. Actually, just kidding. That's really what I recommend. There's a couple of courses out there. There was actually one that was suggested to me to go to a while back. It was Muster. Yeah, so ITS Muster, you can come out to that every year. Remember, there's 5 slots left, so you can get your registration in right now for that. We'll have Matt Fiddler from Sear Pit coming out this year. Phenomenal instructor. If you've never met Matt, he's one of the best guys out there for that stuff. So come out to Muster and learn how to lockpick. No more questions. Also, in an update, something about a home gym. I just saw it pass. Okay, here we go. Also in for update in a few weeks on the home gym. That was the question about that. So, yeah, I just finished installing everything. I got my ass kicked at my buddy's CrossFit place this weekend. For Memorial Day, I did Memorial Day Murph, and I still can't lift my hands above my head right now. It wiped me out. So I got everything installed to the best of my ability this weekend at home. But I was talking about the Rogue rack, so I haven't actually used anything yet, which I feel like a pansy. I got a pull-up bar put up, and I couldn't even do a pull-up on it. So anyway, that's what I've been doing this weekend. I got all that put together, and so where was I going with that? The Rogue rack. I got that fold-away rack that they make. I forget what it was called. I mentioned that I think on the last gear tasting, but got that all put together, and it's kind of a beast to mount. You have to get stringer boards put up on the wall. It's like I bought 10-foot or 6-foot stringer boards, and then I put on these brackets, and it's not very descriptive in that it doesn't really walk you through any instructions of how to put the brackets on. It's just they give you a bunch of measurements and say, here from here is this measurement, and here to here is this measurement, and it's kind of a nightmare to put all that together. So once I kind of get more experience with the gym and can actually do a pull-up again, I haven't tried this morning, but like I said, Memorial Day Murph kicked my ass, so hopefully I'll be back at it soon. Let me see. I know I missed some other questions here. Will you be making any more of the Emerson A100s? I did answer that already, but I'll just mention that we do have a new collab project in the works with them, so keep an eye out for that. I practice a fair amount, but I didn't have experience with a bunch of locks. Yeah, John, if you're a plank owner, dude, first of all, thanks for being a plank owner in the first place. If you're watching still, I know that video cut off from last time, but definitely come out to Muster, man. I know you dig it. It'd be great to meet you in person as well. So let's see. Any recommendations on a red dot sight for CQB on the affordable side? Yes, actually, instead of doing the T1 from Aimpoint, do the H1. The only thing you're gaining in the T1 versus the H1 is night vision capability, and honestly, I don't even use that feature. I have a head-mounted PVS 14, and I'm not looking through that Aimpoint optic anyway at the red dot that's coming through there. So I would just get the H1, and you'll be fine with that. Unless you're putting a night vision optic behind the Aimpoint, there's no real reason to have the night vision capability. So just my 2 cents on that. So, and I know the H1's relatively cheaper. So since you started ITS, what is your favorite article subject that you've written? I'm actually pretty passionate about the zip tie thing. That's something that really nobody was talking about back then. I caught a lot of shit in the beginning for talking about how to escape from zip ties. That was 7 years ago, back in 2009. I caught a lot of crap about that. So that actually kind of reinforced the reason why everyone needs to know those kind of skills, in my opinion, because there were so many people that were adverse back then to anybody knowing anything like that. It was like, that's you're giving away trade secrets. That's stuff that only the military should know. And it was like, look, man, home invasions happen every day. There's no reason that concerned citizens should know how to defend themselves from getting out of cheap plastic zip ties that you can get at Home Depot. And it's not like I was giving away secrets to get out of industrial military grade restraints. I'm talking about zip ties that any schmo can buy at Home Depot. I talked about escaping from handcuffs too. Handcuffs I understand law enforcement uses those every day, but man, that technology is from 1919 and we're still using it. Granted, double locks on handcuffs haven't been around that long, but I kind of get amped up when I talk about that subject. So yeah, John, thanks. Happy planner. Thank you. What books are you reading? So I'm trying to get through. Oh God, what was the book Jordan just? Let me borrow. I just mentioned it yesterday. Yeah, Starship Troopers. I'm actually trying to go back and read that. I've seen the movie, but that's one I'm trying to get through. I'm also reading a Batman graphic novel. I can't remember what it's called. It's like the newest series that's going on with Joker coming back again. Rob probably knows. No. No, this is a pretty new one. Anyway, Joker's back. Yeah. That's what I'm reading right now. Let's see. Yes, good to learn how to get out of legal restraints. Absolutely. Pinpoint Micro versus Trigicon MRO. I don't have experience with any of those. Aimpoint Micro. Oh, I do not have the experience with the Trigicon MRO. I haven't used one of those yet. I would like to. I just haven't had a chance to get my hands on one of those yet. John asked, some of the zip tie stuff and things are big reasons myself. Some of my friends are in. Well, thanks. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, that was, you know, when you talk about kind of my favorite thing with ITS, it's to know that kind of experience, that the information we provided has kind of helped people with that. I mean, we've had experience with people writing in to say that some of our trauma kit supplies and the ETA kits we build have saved lives before. That's empowering. I love hearing about that kind of stuff. But, you know, honestly, I would like to read something that just came in, because there was a cool email that somebody just sent, kind of along the same vein. So a lady wrote in that says, I'm reading the email, nearly 2 years ago, I started a Pinterest board called Things to Know. I feel like these days we tend to expect this bubble of safety, assistance in society, but I still like to know how to do real things. I watched and pinned your video on how to pick handcuffs with a bobby pin, mostly because I found it interesting to know. About 3 weeks later, my boyfriend, who was not taking the recent breakup well, handcuffed me in an attempt to get me to sit still and listen to his reasons why I couldn't leave him. When I freaked out, he conveniently revealed that he had lost the key. And it's in quotes there. I used what I learned from the video to get out of the cuffs, and about a week later ended up getting him charged with false imprisonment and harassment. Super cool story. I was just buzzing through my old pins and found that video and found the video and decided to reach out. Finding email was no easy feat, but I guess you guys might like it that way. Thank you. So, yeah, so stuff like that comes in is, I mean, that's what keeps me engaged and, you know, helps keep me active every day with what we do here at ITS. So that kind of stuff is really cool. Any thoughts on Hydra Flask water bottles? I have used one. I own one. I have not used it extensively. I think they're pretty good. They're just made overseas, and I think I was looking at one of those when we were kind of looking at what water bottles to carry on ITS, and we like to stick with US-made products. That's why we've kind of gone with vapor bottles and also Nalgene's. So there's nothing wrong with Hydro Flasks that are just made overseas, and that wasn't something we had decided to go with, so I don't have extensive use with one of those. Tried any of the Caramore? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Caramore Rux? No, I have not. Do not have experience with that. Next is, I heard Border Book is going to be at the Luke Rockhold Brisbane sparring session today. What martial arts styles are you a fan of? I really want to get into some Krav stuff. I've been kind of experienced with that just a little bit, just enough to know I want to get more experience with it. I had done some Systema stuff back when I was in the Navy, so that's kind of my experience level is with Systema. That's a old Russian special forces martial art. Whenever I was had downtime in the Navy, a buddy of mine was really good friends with James Williams, who was up in Encinitas, just north of where I was stationed in San Diego. So we would go up there sometimes and learn with him. So I feel fortunate to have gotten the chance to do that. Thanks for the videos. You are welcome, Luke. Any plans to do op-eds for any print or digital publications to reach a broader audience? Not currently, so always in the back of my mind. So I just have, sometimes I have enough time, hard enough time keeping up with content here. So let's see, have you checked out John Shrek McPhee's courses? Dude, it's legit. No, I have not. Not opposed to it. I just haven't really heard about his courses yet. You guys rock. Keep it up. Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate it. Christopher asks, any new Tumbleweaves? Actually, now that I've been posting about those on my personal Instagram, people have been sending me their Tumbleweave posts. Oh, you got one? Rob said he's got one. Yeah, man. I didn't even know what that was back in the day. I think we talked about it on the podcast. When I first, I don't know if you guys are aware of what a tumbleweed is, but that is a hair extension that has fallen out somewhere in the course of somebody's life, and it's rolling around on the street like a like a I can't even say the right word. What's it? Tumbleweed. Tumbleweed, yeah. I don't even know the right terminology for the regular one anymore. I'm used to saying tumbleweed. But anyway, I have almost caused an accident with my wife trying to get her to stop so I could take a picture of a tumbleweed. So I've been documenting them on my personal Instagram. Mari asks, been watching for a long time. You guys never disappoint. Did you guys ever get to the Overland Expo this year? No. I really want to get back to the Overland Expo. We haven't been in about 2 years now. We had a great time the year we were there. I heard the year before this, I think there was just one going on, yeah. So the year before it got rained out, it was kind of a mess. So I'm kind of glad I wasn't at that one. But yeah, after seeing everyone's pictures from this last year, I'd really like to get another one. I heard on the podcast you adopted another Doberman. How's that going? We actually adopted 2 of them, so it's going really well. We lost our previous Doberman that we had for, oh my God, we got him when he was a year and a half. He was 10, so we had him for a long time. And then we have a Doberman rescue that's near us here in Dallas-Fort Worth area, and that's where we got 2 more. We got a male and a female, and they've been doing great together, so thanks, man. Stacy, when will the original crew covers and wolf gray come back in? Actually, we've been waiting for those for a long time. They are due in any time now. I'm sorry we don't have a better update on that. So thanks, Dan. Appreciate it, man. Anyway, yeah, hopefully that answered your question, Stacy. Let's see. I know there's other colors other than wolf gray we're out of right now, so apologize. Those are coming in as soon as possible. American manufacturing is sometimes slower than overseas manufacturing, but we like to keep things made in America. So thanks for the patch archive. You're welcome, Mark. We've been wanting to put that together for a long time. We just need to keep updating it and make sure that it's kind of a living, breathing archive. If Eric is still watching, that's one of our guys, Eric Blackstone. He has pretty much every patch imaginable that we have. So he's been our resource for the patch archive up until this point. He's pretty much tried to collect everything we have, even some of the variants that we have. So how full is muster registration so far? We only have 5 slots left. So if you're on the fence, I actually just tried to talk another guy, John, into coming. So maybe we have 4. I don't know. But it's almost full. So if you're on the fence, make sure you get your registration in. Any stories with the framed copy of Wire Mag in the background? Sure. That's actually a funny story. When I was reading Wired, I've subscribed to that magazine forever. And this was back in the issues here. So 2007, they had this thing where you could send in a picture, and the first like 250 submissions, they would send you the magazine of your picture you sent in printed on the cover of a Wire magazine. So that's the deal. It wasn't intended to be something for my I Love Me wall, but it wound up being that way. So that's where that came from. I actually wasn't on the cover of every Wired magazine. So, all right. What are you drinking? I'm drinking Ground Sport coffee. I guess we didn't mention that today, did we? Yeah. Drinking more Ground Sport. They're out of New York City. That's the coffee I'm drinking. Do you have a replacement supply kit for the ETA Fat Boy? So our inserts, or our vacuum sealed inserts, are technically our replacements, so we do sell those separately. What was your rate in the Navy? I was an OS. I went in the Navy to go to BUD, so I really didn't care much about my rate. I originally wanted to be a parachute rigger, and the buddy I was in, going in with the buddy program, he did not make enough of a score on the ASVAB to let us go to the parachute rigger school, so we wound up being an OS, just so we could be on the beach to train to go to BUD. So that's where I wound up in Virginia doing OS. And OS, Operations Specialist, is not as cool as it sounds. It's literally staring at a screen like bloop, bloop, like one of those radar screens. I never had to use the rate, so that was my motivation to not quit at BUDS too, because I didn't want to be on a ship staring at radar screens. Can you buy the Fat Boy pouch without the contents? Yes, you can. Favorite DIY gear mod? Geez, probably the original modification I made to the Blue Force gear sling a long time ago. That was like really before the 2-point to 1-point conversion slings were around, so I kind of made my own. Last questions here. Favorite podcast aside from the obvious? Ridiculous Dialogue, is that what you're after? Yeah. So that's our podcast. If you haven't heard it, check it out. I would say Nerdist, I like listening to that. There's one that Kevin Rose just started that I've been listening to. And last one, what's your Pocket Dump EDC? Trying to wrap it up, but I will do this real quick. Wallet with lockpicks in it, notepad, pen, knife, phone, Zippo, Leatherman squirt, pack of gum, watch, keys, challenge coin, of course, flashlight, little 4.7s, some change. My keys are on the desk, but those are normally in my pocket. And good. There's my pocket dump. Thanks for watching. Be sure to use the pound tag Gear Tasting on any of the social media networks and get your question answered live on Gear Tasting. I know that this week we kind of went on an aside with the live Facebook feed, but we're just going to kind of continue to mix things up all the time, so we're giving this a shot too. So anyway, use that pound tag if you got any questions. Thanks for watching. Check out the description below to join our crew leader membership if you're liking what we're doing here. It's kind of our way to give you something back for your support of ITS. Thanks again.